Bitcoin closed above this high, but we went down directly. Nasdaq is still jumping around in the demand zone I showed you, and the dollar index took out this low. But what will happen now? Hi, my name is Hasse and warmly welcome to this market outlook. I've been trading and investing for over 8+ years. This is the place where we leave out the emotions and focus on logics and statistics. We're gonna have a look at Bitcoin, Nasdaq and dollar index, and I'm gonna show you my thoughts in the charts. But we will, as always, start in Forex Factory, and let's see what news we have for the week. Well, we have federal funds rate on Wednesday. That is something very important to have in mind. Markets tend to be choppy before the federal funds rate. And then we also have a bank holiday on Thursday. Try not to push the limit this week. Take it easy, step by step, and let the setups and the charts come to you. There are also some red folders here on Tuesday. You can see the timing. This is Swedish time for your information. We also have some red folder news regarding GBP on Thursday and Friday. The most interesting high impact news for the week, in my opinion, is the federal funds rate, 8 o'clock in the evening Swedish time. The most important high impact news for the week, in my opinion, is the federal funds rate on Wednesday. If we have a look at the earnings calendar, we don't actually have some interesting reports this week. I just like to check everything in front of you so you see the routine. And we have the Fear and Greed Index in S&P 500. We are still in greed. There is more room to extreme greed, which means that there is more fuel in the tank to deliver indices to all-time high and higher levels. And the Fear and Greed Index for crypto, you can see we are jumping around here in neutral. There is also a lot of room to go to extreme greed. So you can think of it like this. Bitcoin is around $106,000 right now. You can see it here, 106, 107. And we are around neutral in the Fear and Greed Index. Think about it. If this Fear and Greed Index goes up to extreme greed, that will most probably mean that Bitcoin will reach 110, 120, 130, etc. But we take it step by step, and it's very important we are adaptive, because sometimes the Fear and Greed Index goes up a lot in just one candle if Bitcoin just jumps up to new highs. It's important to always keep an eye on the Fear and Greed Index, because when we come up to this extreme greed territory, in general, there is no good risk to reward ratio. And regarding the liquidation index in Bitcoin, we can see that there are a lot of long liquidations, which means we are most probably putting a low in the market and going up to higher levels. That is not a guarantee. That means people who are longing the market are getting wrecked. They are getting liquidated, which means new money can flow inside the market and push it up to higher levels. Regarding the daily exchange volume, we can see that we are just consolidating here. We were breaking above this high. I wanted it to create a higher low and then break again to create a clear uptrend, but we didn't really do that yet. I mean, it went down again to almost the range low, but it is still a higher low, which is good. So if this chart goes up and breaks this high, this is a very good bullish sign. This is what I'm looking for right now. Because if you look at the Bitcoin chart, I mean, it is breaking up to higher levels, all-time high, consolidating here. We need the volume to come with us. Otherwise, we can't trust this trend here in Bitcoin. But now we have the macro view out of the way. Let's focus on the technical analysis. So I've been showing you earlier this weekly fair value gap, the imbalance here. We went down and reacted. And I also told you last week that I wanted a daily candle close above the bodies here, and we got that. And now we are in a correction, which means that we got that close above the bodies, which increases the probabilities that we are aiming for higher levels, and we should not break this low. If we break that low, that doesn't mean that we are in a bear market. It is just meaning that the market is slowing, and we are most probably just coming down deeper to aim for higher levels later on. But let's focus on what we have right now. Like if we look at this low, as long as we don't go below it, we can still be bullish. So what could be nice to look for here in Bitcoin, if we do something like this, create a correction and then break again, that increases also the probabilities that we have set this low, and then we can aim for even higher levels from there. This is just short term. Overall, I'm aiming for this target on 117,512 and even higher levels, because I will always respect the trend. If the trend is up, then I will still aim for higher levels. And I will always be here for you, updating you if the trend is shifting down, or if we, for example, should not trust a specific move. I will always give you my inputs on these market outlooks. Make sure to see these every week, then you are always updated about my thoughts. If we have a look at Nasdaq, I've been telling you that we are creeping up, squeezing up against all-time high. The most probable scenario here is that every down move is a manipulation to aim for all-time high. And if we just zoom in here, we can see that we have a lot of liquidity. And I told you that we had a demand zone. This is a demand zone. And you see we are jumping around inside this demand zone. If we have a demand zone, that doesn't mean it's a guarantee that we will always go up. I mean, we can break the demand zone down. But in my opinion, if we break like these lows and break the demand zone, I see this as a manipulation to aim for higher levels. You can see here what happened before. We accumulate all the liquidity below these lows. We accumulate liquidity below these lows. Now we have a lot of liquidity here, and we actually accumulated liquidity below these lows. Now we need to see if we need more liquidity, then it has to take out these lows and then go up. But how can we decide if we need more liquidity or not? Then we need to go inside the lower time frame. So let's have a look at the 4-hour chart. We can see that we have supply zones here. The green candle here is a supply zone. We are touching it like this. You can see touching the green candle, going down. We have another green candle, touching it, going down. And now if we go above this high that touched the latest green candle, and if we close a 4-hour candle above it, then that is increasing the probability that we can actually aim for this high, for example. That also means that maybe the chart is not interested of more liquidity. So this is something you can keep in mind. As long as we don't go above this high and close a clear 4-hour candle above it, then just sit on your hands. We have a swing low here, a swing high here. We need to see clear movements from the chart here in order to take good, high probability decisions out in the markets. And of course, you can work with these lower time frames if you want, but what I like to do, I like to see clear chart movements in the higher time frames before even going inside the lower time frames. Let's give you an update regarding dollar index, and I've been aiming from this red zone here. You can see the levels here to the right. I've been aiming down to a new low, which means being bullish on Euro USD, GBP USD, for example. And it has been beautiful moves down to this low, and I can just delete this target. And I'm still aiming for lower levels. As long as we don't go above this high, I am bearish to the dollar index and aiming for lower levels. You can see here in the weekly chart, we have this demand zone and this. The upper one is now broken. So what we can focus on is this. We can take a rectangle like this and put it as green, for example. And if we see a clear reaction from this zone and starting breaking highs and building an uptrend, which means that most probably Euro USD, GBP USD will go down in a deeper correction before aiming up again. And aiming up in Euro USD means aiming down in dollar index again. So this is just giving you my inputs here, but always respect the trend. If you look at the trend from the beginning of 2025, it's a very clear downtrend. Then respect it. Always aim for lower lows until you're proven otherwise. That was basically my inputs about the markets, and I hope you liked it. If you did, make sure to thumbs up this video, subscribe to the channel, and see you on the next week's Market Outlook. Bye.